Welcome to our 10 a.m. pre-service meditation. Simply breathing and allowing this breath to connect us to this moment. Bring us to presence in this present span of infinity. Simply breathing and allowing, recognizing that this breath is spirit breathing itself. As we breathe, we anchor and ground ourselves. Sometimes that means surrendering all of the thoughts, all of the baggage, all of the preconceived ideas that we brought to the meditation. Recognize that we can pick them up once the meditation is complete, if that is what we choose. But at this moment right here, simply allow that which may not serve us to be left at the door. And as we proceed in from this grounded, aligned, and conscious state, anchored to what truth is, we avail ourselves from the ever-present power of the infinite I Am, ever becoming more and more as it incarnates itself in, through, and as all that we are, all that we see, all that we experience, all that will ever be. Power and presence of creation itself is always present. It is precisely because it is always present that we are able to tune in to the truth of our being, to tap into the infinite wisdom, to make use of the creative law, to shift, to change, to evolve, to ever be more and more of what we choose at any given moment, with any given thought, in the expanse of any given breath. Breathe and recognize that today, first Sunday of a new year, brings with it the infinite possibilities and potentialities waiting, birthing, calling forth from itself what can be, calling forth a new, higher, evolutionary vision, calling forth the clarion call of a world that works for all, calling forth compassion and unity, love, oneness. In this new year, we recognize that this calling forth is not something that is external. That which God is not simply an external deity or simply an external power, but that because it is all there is, it is present in, through, with, around, under, above, below, beside, in and as all that is. And so this call comes forth from within. It is not invoked, but evoked. The very cells of our bodies, muscle fibers, dendrites of our brain, tissues of our organs, all of it is God, speaking to itself, through itself, about itself, by itself, communicating, ever calling forth greater and greater levels of health and well-being, greater and greater levels of unity and harmony, greater and greater levels of expansion and creation. So we anchor into this power, knowing that right here, right where we are, God must be. And because it is, we know that the full power of must also be present. Ernest said there is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it. And I add, there is a power for good that is the universe itself, and it is always being used by us, using itself through us, because it is that which we are. And so this power for good, that is what we ground to and anchor to and align with in this new year. This timeless wisdom that traces back before anything was ever written, anything was ever spoken. It traces back to when eternity was beyond time. It traces through when time came into being in the consciousness of humans. It traces through the books, the scribes, the teachers, the gurus, the leaders, the visionaries. It moves through each lesson that was handed down. It moves through each torch that was passed. It moves through each meeting, each Dharma talk, each phone call, each letter, each Sunday service, and it moves through to this time, right here, right now. Because in spirit and in truth, right now is all there is. So this eternal moment of right now, the timeless wisdom of spirit itself exists. The evolutionary vision of the universe itself exists. So we breathe and allow that wisdom, that divine intelligence, that evolutionary vision, that consciousness of source to be what it is in all of our thoughts, words. In all of our feelings, emotions, in all of our interactions with others, and in all of the ways that we show up and walk the walk. Power and presence, and all that is right here and right now, breathing itself. So in the same way that we understand that each year adds on, 1984 becomes 1985. Time becomes 1992, 1993, and time becomes 2004, 2019, 2020, and 2021. You recognize and understand this adding of years. So we take that same understanding and we add to the manner in which we connect to spirit, connect to the truth of our being. We add to, meaning each moment we give ourselves pause, we give ourselves space to add in the awareness of who and what we are. That may mean on our daily checklist or to-do list, we add on time to self-care and nurture ourselves and to remember who and what we are. That may mean adding on to our calendar or our planner time to reflect and remember and contemplate who and what we are. That may mean add on time throughout our day, somewhere, some way, shape, or form, to pause and remember and reflect on the truth of our being. But it means we understand that we are not adding to God. We are simply adding in a moment of reflection and pause. So that in the busyness of our day, where it may be easy to be distracted, where sometimes the busyness of the day subtracts from our or detracts from our awareness, from our truth, from our power, from our self-love and nurturing. Where the daily stresses and traumas can cause us to forget, we add on and remember. We add on by pouring into our lives. So we add on. In the same way we add on and become 2021, we add on and spiral up in our awareness. We add on in our commitment to care for ourselves. We add on to being a loving presence. A demonstration of a world that works for all. We add on and choose to live the vision. breathe. Breathe in recognition. Breathe in reverence and celebration. Breathe in honoring. Breathe in nurturing and caring and loving. Breathe this in so that this nourishes every cell and every part of our being, the physical, the emotional, the energetic, the vibratory, the auric, the etheric, and every body that we may express as, that every chakra, that every wave that we represent and stand in and as, that all of it vibrates and resonates and shines forth from a consciousness that knows, from a consciousness that chooses to know, but not simply to know, because to know the path and to know the recipe and to walk the path and to make the recipe are two different things. And so we first know, but we know so that we may act. So we act from this place of deep reverence, resonance, vibration, this deep place of oneness and unity, this deep place of truth. Truth, recognizing that God is all there is. That this living Spirit Almighty that we believe in, that we understand is absolute and indestructible, that is not being absorbed by its creation, but is demonstrating and incarnating itself in the fullness of its creation. That this power and this presence, and this is the truth of our being. Anchored in that, recognizing that and celebrating that, we'll go into prayer. Some said, God in me, as me, is me, and it is from this place of recognition that I speak what I know. There is only that which God is, showing up in, through, and as every single person, place, plant, thing. It is all God, and therefore it is all the infinite goodness of creation showing itself. That which is seen, the unseen, and the yet to be seen, all God and all good. The known, the unknown, and the yet to be known, all infinite spirit and all infinite marvelousness, knowing that this is all God showing up. I am able to anchor and ground myself in gratitude and deep thanksgiving. I am able to walk in a manner that is fitting of this recognition, that I'm able to live, move, and have my beingness. And I know that what is true for me is true for everyone who is gathering on this meditation, and even those who aren't gathering on this meditation, because they too are enveloped in and by and as and of this one creative power. So this truth is true for all. So the manner in which I walk, knowing and recognizing who and what I am as spiritual magnificence incarnating itself in human form, recognizing that the manner in which I greet the day, the manner in which I greet another human, the manner in which I greet the world, is the manner in which God greets itself, the manner in which God welcomes itself, acknowledges itself, cares for itself. And so from this place of gratitude and recognition, I allow these words to simply be placed into the law that always says yes. And knowing that the law says yes, I know these words are received and are acted upon right now. And because they are acted upon right now, and because these words already exist in the mind of God, I already know that this treatment is already answered prayer. And because it is already answered prayer, then I know that this answered prayer is an answered prayer of health and well-being, of great levels of prosperity and divine stewardship of all manner of ways that I and this community show up. That health and well-being of body, mind, and spirit, health and well-being of relationship, health and well-being of finances, health and well-being of divinity is the truth. And this prayer is already answering, already answered, already is demonstrated, already is that which is spoken. And because it is done, I simply allow it to be what it already is by saying, Amen, Ashe, and so it is.
We are the movers and the shakers and the woo peacemakers. Woo! Ha! Woo! Om Shanti Om. All right. Woo! Okay. Woo! I was jamming. Jamming. Okay. All right. Happy New Year! Ha! Woo! What a way to start us off. Well, good morning, all. And welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore's virtual service. Woo! First service of 2021. I am your host, Tracy Rhymes. Our senior minister, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, who led that powerful pre-service meditation, is our speaker today. Our musicians who had us moving and shaking are where the light gets in. Woo! All right, calm down. Assisting with making this service open, inviting, and accessible to the deaf community are our sign language interpreters, Rainica Permaletta and Sonia Chavis. Working behind the scenes, holding things down, are Frank, Matthew, and Jim Lefter. On behalf of Reverend Dr. Ray, thank you all for your service. So, at CSL Greater Baltimore, every Sunday is an Invite a Friend Sunday. Make sure you spread the love and invite a friend, even a family member, or two, or three to service. Come on. We would love to have them hang out with us. At this time, Reverend Dr. Ray will set the tone and ground us with a prayer.
So simply allowing ourselves to breathe in this moment, recognizing that this breath brings us to a place of surrender and a place of being present. Brings us to a place of being present because we can only breathe this breath in this present moment, right here and right now. We can't breathe tomorrow's breath. We can't rebreathe yesterday's breath. We can't save a breath for a rainy day. So this breath, a spiritual practice reminding us to be present right here and right now. Surrendering because this breath is not controlled or maintained simply by our willpower. We don't say lungs expand, lungs contract. But the body's intelligence knows how to breathe, and we surrender to the recognition that this breath is God breathing itself in, through, and as each of us. And so from this place of surrender and being present, we recognize the allness and the isness of spirit in, through, and as every person gathered here, and every person gathering in every church and synagogue and mosque and temple, and everyone gathering everywhere or anywhere, because it's all God. And it being all God, it must also be infinite goodness, the essence of. And so as we raise our vibration, as we move and shake and bring peace, as we sing Aho, Amen, Amen, and Om Shanti Om, as we ground and as we recognize, then we are knowing, we are affirming, we are declaring this truth, not just for ourselves and this service, but for everyone and everything, everywhere. This service is good and oh so good because that which God is good and oh so good. Showing up in, through, and as every one of us, love made flesh, peace made flesh, joy and prosperity made flesh. Anchoring in this, we surrender this in gratitude, knowing it is done, knowing it is so. It is already answered prayer, and so it is. Amen. Now back to your regularly scheduled host.
Ashe. Thank you, Reverend Dr. Ray.
Did you just say I'm ashy?
You know what?
Oh, you said Ashe. Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Come on, go ahead.
Y'all know what kind of service this is going to be. All right, so at this time, the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore's community honors the diversity of all religions as represented by this ceremony. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Buddhism is the path of compassion and cessation of suffering. Christianity is the path of love and forgiveness. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God. Judaism is the path of living by sacred law. Indigenous spirituality is the path of honoring the earth and all of life. Shintoism is the path of ritual, veneration, and kami, and honoring nature. Taoism is the path of ultimate reality through balance. Unitarian Universalist is the path of social justice and sacred activism. Science of mind and spirit is the path of awakening one's spiritual magnificence in accord with love and law. The heart. The heart represents our love for and unity with all of life. Now I have some announcements for you. All right, so at this time, we currently have 3 weekly ongoing ways to study, learn, and discuss. First and third Monday nights, the Sacred Contracts Book Club hosted by Nancy Rosenberg. On Wednesday nights, you have the Science of Mind textbook exploration group, which is facilitated by Reverend Dr. Ray. And you can hang out on Thursday nights in the study group facilitated by practitioner Dr. Ronnie Ellington. There is a new service that you can subscribe to receive weekly words of wisdom. Check this out. Each week, CSLGB's spiritual leadership team will send you words of inspiration, contemplation, meditation, and more. Interested? Okay. Send an email to info@cslgreaterbaltimore.org. Of course, membership is important. The Discovery class is available online. Contact us at info@cslgreaterbaltimore.org. Or you can visit the website for more information on becoming a member of CSLGB. Sign up for the CSLGB newsletter, the CSLGB Facebook and Instagram pages, and get more news and information by visiting cslgreaterbaltimore.org. So, would you like to receive a daily text or voicemail from Reverend Dr. Ray? Yes? Okay. If so, here's what you do. Type JOIN, that says join, 2883. Write it down. 663 9021. That's all you have to do to begin to receive your daily inspirations. Woo! You get to hear that voice and read them words daily. Awesome. Dun, 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 dun. Coming soon. The CSLGB Ministry of Education. Woo! Stay tuned for announcements of upcoming classes. And I know y'all are waiting for that. All right. So, we're going to continue this. Started in 2020. We're going to move it into 2021 on the count of 3. Everyone with me says prayer works. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Prayer works. Yes, I felt that. All right. We as a community continue to treat and move our feet, knowing the truth for everyone around the planet. Prayer requests can be sent at any time via email to info@cslgreaterbaltimore.org. Woo! Y'all have been asking when. They're back. Starting the year off light gets in. Yes. Shannon Plummer and Bob Simer, they began to travel the country full-time in 2013, spreading their powerful medicine in the form of music, message, and experiences to a world that is thirsty for meaning, purpose, and peace. Bob is an award-winning singer-songwriter, spiritual teacher, and musical mystic who has been called Eckhart Tolle with a guitar. The music that comes through him will vibrate with your spirit exactly where you. Shannon is a shamanic practitioner, intentional creation coach, artist, and singer. Shannon is an instrument, an engaged observer to the story of your life. Together, they amplify each other's gifts into a divine combination that will lead the soul to truth and peace. They lead life-changing experimental workshops. Y'all help me with that one. Music, meditations, weekend retreats, and powerful concert experiences. To learn more about them and what they are doing, visit their website at WHERElightGetSin.us/ I give you where the light gets in. I'm not gonna sing this time. Not gonna sing. All right. Okay. Thank you again. Where the light gets in. So, at this time, I will do a reading. Get comfortable, listen, and meditate on these words. In Nori Huddle's book, Butterfly, she writes, the caterpillar's new cells are called imaginal cells. They resonate at a different frequency. They are so totally different from the caterpillar cells that his immune system thinks they are enemies and gobbles them up. Chomp, gulp. But these new imaginal cells continue to appear. More and more of them. Pretty soon, the caterpillar's immune system cannot destroy them fast enough. More and more of the imaginal cells survive. And then an amazing thing happens. The little tiny, lonely, imaginal cells start to clump together into friendly little groups. They all resonate together at the same frequency, passing information from one to another. Then, after a while, another amazing thing happens. The clumps of imaginal cells start to cluster together. A long string of clumping and clustering imaginal cells, all resonating at the same frequency, all passing information from one to another there inside the chrysalis. A wave of good news travels throughout the system, lurches and heaves, but not yet a butterfly. Then, at some point, the entire long string of imaginal cells suddenly realizes altogether that is something different from the caterpillar. Something new, something wonderful. And in that realization is the shout of the birth of the butterfly. Since the butterfly now knows that it is a butterfly, the little tiny imaginal cells no longer have to do all those things individual cells have to do. Now they are part of a multi-celled organism, a family who can share the work. Each new butterfly cell can take on a different job. There is something for everyone to do, and everyone is important. And each cell begins to do just that very thing it is most drawn to do. And every other cell encourages it to do just that. A great way to organize a butterfly. That concludes today's reading. Now it is time for a word, a message, a nudge, a mustard seed of encouragement from this awesome vessel. Senior Minister, Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Baltimore, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. He has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man. One look at his resume and the reason becomes clear. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self-development, personal transformation, transmutation, and self-awakening, he lives his bliss as a teacher, mentor, speaker, minister, and so much more. His mission is to live, move, and be an active, which is an acronym, authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered. Member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, emancipate, awaken, and empower people and communities. Reverend Ray, come jumpstart our year.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
You got it.
So, Happy New Year once again. January 2021, huh? Yeah. And yes, we are starting the year off with this idea that Bob and Shannon sort of segued us into this idea of legacy, this idea of timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision. And what does that mean for us in New Thought? What does that mean for us in CSL? What does that mean for us in CSL Greater Baltimore? What does it mean for us to tune in and link in to this idea of timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision? Specifically today, we are talking about this idea of passing or carrying of the torch. What does it matter that the fundamental principles of the science of mind and spirit are ageless and cross many spiritual traditions? Like, why does that matter? And what does it matter if we know that this is true and we know that in our practice we are tapping into the eternal, the infinite, that which is God, and which has always been? What does it matter? Like, why is that important? We have the opportunity to not only receive the legacy of those who came before us, but also to continue in that legacy, to continue to evolve and expand our individual and collective vision and legacy, to continually grow into something newer and bigger. For that is what it means to be open at the top in a world that works for all. So, if you are ready, let's dive a little bit deeper. Why pass or carry the torch? Well, first we have to talk about what is the torch, then why carry it or why pass it. Paramahansa Yogananda said, most energy moves through space in a spiral form, a ubiquitous motif in the macrocosm and microscopic architecture of the universe. In other words, that which nature is tends toward this idea of leveling up, tends toward this idea of expanded consciousness. So what does that mean for us? How do we take on this idea of there is a shoulder upon which I stand. I could not be here were it not for the shoulders upon which someone in my lineage, whether that is my family lineage, whether that is the lineage of being an African American, whether that is the lineage of being a citizen of the United States of America, whether that means the lineage of New Thought. There are various lineages upon which we each can tune in and recognize. In our culture, we already have many symbolic representations of this idea of carrying the torch and passing the torch. One huge one is the Olympics. We have seen many, many times someone running with the torch and then lighting the next runner's torch with the intention of reaching the huge torch that burns for the duration of the Olympics. And the reason that is significant is because the ancient Greeks considered fire to be a divine element, and they maintained perpetual fires in front of their main or principal temples. So here's this idea. Someone in our lineage, in our legacy, passed the torch. Are we letting that fire extinguish? Or are we maintaining the eternal flame of our recognized divinity, our recognized gifts and blessings and talents? We just left this huge season of light, the winter solstice and Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa, and each of these celebrations of light, recognizing that on this day we light this candle in remembrance of, we light this candle to celebrate and honor, we light this candle. Each of these things is a demonstration or representation of this same idea. We continue to let the eternal flame of spirit, of love, of peace, of joy, we continue to recognize and keep that flame burning. We let it burn in our thoughts, in our words, in our emotions, in our actions, in the ways that we serve, the ways that we show up. But have you ever seen someone, maybe in track and field running with the baton, and they reach back to get the baton and they catch it and they take 2 steps and they're like, yeah, no, I don't feel like running. And they drop the baton and walk off the track field. They're like, yeah, I don't feel like doing this. This ain't mine to do. Like, I've never seen anyone do that. I've seen people miss the baton and then stumble and fumble and pick it up and run. I've seen people grab the baton and trip and fall and get back up and run with the baton. I've seen a great many people continue no matter what the hardship was. So here we are once again. There are many representations. The Statue of Liberty sits there in New York City as a demonstration, a representation of Lady Liberty holding this beacon Give me your tired, those who are seeking sanctuary, those who desire to evolve into a beloved community that we are calling this American experiment. Bring them unto me that they may recognize and have truth, liberty, and justice for all. And while this is still an experiment that we are working toward, if each of us is not doing our part, then it remains simply a dream to never be realized. But if and when we recognize our individual torch and the flames that have been handed to us, whether that is by teachers, whether that is as ministers, whether that is whatever way that Spirit speaks in, through, and as us, as artists who paint, draw, sculpt, as artists who sing and dance, as artists who act, as politicians who represent, as judges who understand what equity and justice truly mean. In whatever ways that we are called to carry that torch, then we recognize that here's this teaching, religious science, science of mind and spirit. Ernest Holmes had, there are many others, but two of the people who had profound impact on him, Emma Curtis Hopkins and Sri Aurobindo. They had profound impact on Ernest Holmes. And so we have vast libraries of New Thought material, philosophical exploration that we can do so that we can recognize that you are the one being called to now step forward. You are being called to spiral up. You are being called to do what Bob and Shannon have already said. You are being called to shake. Whether that is shake, I mentioned this, I'm sure you've heard me mention this before. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's going to trouble the waters. God's going to shake the waters. And it is in those shaken waters that those who step into the waters are healed. God is going to shake. Are we ready to be the shakers? Are we ready to be the movers of moving from an old paradigm and an old consciousness and an old way of being in our habitual whatever state of, I don't love myself as much as I could. I don't nurture and care for myself as much as I could. I don't pour into myself as much as I could. I don't support me as much as I could. Because we know that if we're not doing it for ourselves, then are we really able to do it for another? Are we ready to be those who make peace first within ourselves, within our minds and our words and our feelings and our actions, so that we can then spread that out to others? We become contagious. We have received the torch of, and now we pass the torch of. We keep the eternal flame of Spirit. Now, Spirit's flame can never go out, but it is that recognition. It is the continued lineage of, I know that I am tuned in, tapped into this timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision that is New Thought. I am tuned in and tapped in to this timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision that is mine as an African American man in the United States of America in 2020. I recognize that it is mine to do whatever it is mine to do, to move, to shake, to bring peace, to bring justice, to bring recognition, to bring conscious awareness, so that we can shift and change, so that we can move into a world that works for all, so that that is the new recognition of what we are living. Ernest Holmes said, if the sermon by the sea, I would desire that in our teaching there should never be any arrogance, for it always indicates spiritual immaturity to me. Others will arise who will know more than we do. They won't be better or worse. They will be different and know more than we do. Evolution is forward. How are we stepping into this evolution that is forward? How are we remaining open at the top? Timeless wisdom. The teachings that have become science of mind and spirit trace back through the ages of many teachings philosophies and religions and paths such as Hermeticism, Transcendentalism, Vedanta, Christianity, and more. And all of these teachings we are tied to. The lineage of them we are connected to. What makes these teachings timeless is their efficacy. If they did not work, it would have gone the way of the laser disc of the late 70s. And some of you are like, the what? The laser disc. It was a CD the size of a regular LP that was a movie that people were like, yay, laser disc. And then 2 weeks after they came out, where'd they go? No one was using those. They weren't really effective. Now, I know somebody on this Zoom call right now still has a laser disc player and got a couple of laser discs. And that's great. That's all good. But what I'm saying is, I don't have an 8-track player anymore. Some people do. Bob probably has one. Because I know he's got some Jordache. But we won't get into that right now. The point is, we know that the teachings work. That's why they survive through time. And if we work them, Tracy said, prayer works. But prayer only works if you work it. If you don't say the prayer, then what you are praying, the new consciousness, never is given voice. And therefore, the prayer that works is the prayer of your regularly scheduled everyday, oh, it's Monday. Oh, I'm in traffic. Oh, I'm getting older. Oh, it's still pandemic. Who's the president? Like that becomes the prayer. Is that really the prayer that you want to continue to work? Or do you want to speak a new prayer, sing a new song, rise to a new level of consciousness? Because if that's what we want, then that means we have an evolutionary vision. It means we are expanding, recognizing that we can be more, do more, have more. And no, I'm not talking about having more, like I have more clothes, I have more shoes, I have more. I'm not talking about having more. I'm talking about having more realization of truth, having more capacity to love, having more capacity to be a demonstration of peace, love, and harmony, having more willingness and capacity to forgive. I'm talking about having more of that. Because that's what's eternal. Having more socks, that's going to last me all of maybe, because I know what my toes look like, that's going to last me all of maybe 6 months before my socks get holes in them. And yes, I clip my toenails, but it doesn't matter. But I know that the socks are not going to last that long. So why have more socks and more socks and more socks or more shoes? Why not have more love and more joy and more passion? Why not have more treasures such as these that time cannot touch, that age cannot touch, that they get better and grander and greater as we recognize more of them through the vision that we hold? Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish. But blessed is the one who heeds the wisdom's instruction." The one who heeds the voice of spirit, the one who is the mover, shaker, and maker of peace, the one who is the lover of humankind, the one who is a demonstration of being in, as, and through the one in unity. That person is heeding the wisdom. That person is walking in the vision. That person is blessed. In CSL, there's a global vision. It says, we see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. Right? It says more, but the question is, if we see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, I have to ask myself, do I see me? Am I living my life in alignment with my highest spiritual principles? Because if I'm not, then it's difficult for me to see someone else doing it. It's difficult for me to recognize it in another if I don't, like we used to say, if you spot it, you got it. If I can spot wealth and prosperity, then it means somewhere I must have an idea of it. But I have to get in alignment with my highest spiritual principle. I have to emphasize unity with God and my connection with each other person. I have to recognize this individually and collectively. Then I bring it to where two or more, 2 or 3, 2 or 5, then I bring it to each meeting and each gathering and each conversation. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family. Well, that's difficult to do if, once again, I don't like me. I criticize me. I judge me. Because it's easy for me to judge somebody else when I am in the consistent thing of judging myself. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. Am I living that? Like, that's the question to ask. Am I living that? Am I walking that walk? Am I thinking those thoughts? We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. Now, there are many folks who say that, well, we in New Thought have nothing to do with politics. We shouldn't be involved in that stuff. It's not spiritual. That's nonsense. If God is all there is and everything is God, then everything is spiritual. But the idea is, are we bringing the timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision to our corporate structures? Are we bringing that to our political systems? Are we bringing that to our academic and social sector? Are we bringing this that we know to be God to these areas? That's the invitation. Ernest Holmes also said at the Sermon by the Sea, "Find me one person who can get his own littleness out of the way, and that person shall reveal to me the immeasurable magnitude of the universe in which I live." That littleness is that section of us that criticizes, that judges, that refuses to recognize and acknowledge the power of spirit at the core of all that we are. It's that part that says, but I'm not good enough. That's little. That's playing small. But I'll never be as good as. That's the littleness, playing small. The person who can get their own littleness out of the way shall reveal the immeasurable magnitude of the universe. When we move and allow that which is God to be God in us, that littleness, we make room for the isness and allness of spirit to live, move, and have its being. So in our regularly everyday life, we are being invited to marinate on this. It doesn't matter where we are, God is. We can be on the subway, God is right there, because wherever you are, God is. You can be in line at the grocery store. You can be in traffic, God is there. That means everywhere you are is church. Everywhere you are is a sacred site. Everywhere you are is powerful, is a point of power. Question is, are we recognizing that? Are we bringing the timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision into each of the ways and each of the areas that we show up? Again, in the Sermon by the Sea, Ernest Holmes says, "Find me one person who has so completely divorced themselves of all arrogance, and you will have discovered for me an open pathway to the kingdom of God here and now." And we know in Science of Mind and Spirit, in the Declaration of Principles, number 4, we believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. To the degree that we become conscious of this open pathway to the kingdom of God here and now, recognizing, open at the top, recognizing the infinite I am that we are ever becoming moment by moment. Simply breathing. Ephesians 3:20 says, "There is a power at work within us that is able to accomplish abundantly far more than we can ask or imagine." Sounds very similar to something Ernest Holmes used to say on both his TV broadcast and radio broadcast of this thing called life, where he would say, "There is a power for good in the universe, greater than you are, and you can use it." Holmes also wrote, "We have within us a power that is greater than anything that we shall ever contact in the outer. A power that can overcome every obstacle in our life and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, healed and prosperous, in a new light and in a new life. Mind, all mind, is here right now. It is God's mind, God's creative power, God's creative life. We have as much of this power to use in our daily life as we can believe and embody. We have as much of this power as we are ready and willing to allow the torch to be passed unto us, and to carry the torch, to keep the eternal flame, not as merely a flicker and a spark, but a blazing flame of recognition. In a practical application of the science of mind, written in 1958, proper understanding of his relationship to the universe, supported by intelligent and industrious work, will add materially to his measure of success. When we do this, scientifically and mathematically accurate is this creative principle. Work without vision is drudgery, but vision without work is self-deception. The well-balanced man or person can walk with their head in the clouds and still keep their feet solidly planted on the ground. Faith and work are ineffective when separate. If we separate faith and work, work without faith, faith without work is dead. They must be together. Action, treat, and move our feet. This week, our invitation to practice, ask ourselves to journal. In what ways am I carrying and passing the torch of truth or trauma? If I created a lineage chart, upon whose shoulders would I see that I stand? Like we talk about a family tree, but do a lineage chart and trace your lineage through a variety of things. Trace your lineage as if Tracy was doing one, I would invite her to do one. Trace your lineage as a woman. Find the women who have influenced you. One or two that I know have influenced Tracy: Harriet Tubman and her grandmother, because it was her grandmother that encouraged Tracy to recognize the importance of voting, because at a time where voting was, black folks were being killed for voting, her grandmother did what she needed to do to make sure she had the right to vote, and she got out there and voted. She was there at, which was it? The I Have a Dream in Martin Luther King's speech, and Tracy remembers and heard, and she had a sign, So Tracy has two women in her lineage of being a woman. I would encourage her to trace her lineage as someone in New Thought. Trace her lineage as someone in her family. Trace her lineage and find upon whose shoulders do I stand, that I am where I am now because these people lived. So ask yourself, whose shoulders do I stand on? And who will stand on mine? What am I called to be and to do today that keeps the eternal flame burning, lighting the way, honoring the way, and blazing the way for what is evolving in me, through me, and as me? That is our invitation. And once again, as a reminder, if anyone ever wants copies of the slides, feel free to email either Tracy or I, and we will make sure you get them. Today's declaration affirmation, I will say it first and then together. Steeped in the wisdom of the ages, I humbly resolve to evolve. Together, steeped in the wisdom of the ages, I humbly resolve to evolve. And we breathe. We breathe in the gratitude, we breathe in the thanksgiving, we breathe in this generosity. Not just the generosity that we have in this moment from the message and from the pre-service meditation and from the pre-service music and Tracy's silliness and singing, but simply grateful for all that we are and steeped in this gratitude because we are welcoming back where the light gets in. We are welcoming back our beloved brother and sister, Bob and Shannon. So let's put our hands together and open our hearts for this gift of music. And so it is. Yes, as always. Oh, yes. Blessings, blessings. Thank you, Bob and Shannon, my beloved brother and sister. Oh, I love y'all so much. So I got to keep reminding folks about that Jordache thing. I don't even know if y'all remember that, but I remember. I'm never going to forget. I'm going to be 3,429 years old, and I'm going to still be reminding you, Bob, remember those Jordache?
I said to Shannon, I said, boy, he will never let that go. He's gonna keep that going. I love it.
Yep, yes. That's one of the songs I'm singing. Yes, and letting it get louder and louder. Yes, amen. Beloved community. So here we go. Moving into this idea of, so it's a new year, right? And it's 2021, and recognizing that if we're going to be about it and really be about it, then each year we should evolve, we should grow, we should expand. If that which God is, that which Spirit is ever expanding consciousness, then, like Bob and Shannon just sang, let your song get a little bit louder. They didn't say, let your song get, till it goes to a whisper. Like that's not the way it works. Let your song get a little bit louder. Let it grow, let it expand, let it go from a spark to a flame to a blaze. Let the fire of this song grow. It's one of the reasons why I used to like going to the symphony, because you could feel the resonance of the music in your body. Let the sound up. So we're 2021, living the vision, expanding into what it means to be a beloved community that lives the vision of a world that works for all, that lives the vision of service, lives the vision of demonstrating who and what we are. Since Bob and Shannon mentioned, let your song, like I remember this song, these boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. So I changed that to, this teaching is made for living, and that's just what I'll do. And one of these days, this teaching's gonna rub off on all of you. Just keep that in mind.
You know he got a song coming.
Tracy got a lot of nerve talking about songs and people singing songs, because Tracy make us, anyhow. So for those of you who were with us from June of last year to December of last year, you know that the Pratt Corps of CSL Greater Baltimore pledged an additional $5,000 between June and the end of the year, in addition to their regularly scheduled tithes. And the practitioners, by the end of the year, reached $5,422.50. And the community pledged to do their best to match. Now, this community, we started the community pledge drive a little later, so that's one reason why it's less. But nonetheless, the community, in about 3 months or 2.5 months, reached $2,250. And our anonymous donor who said that whatever the community matched, they would match up to $5,000. That means an additional $2,250. Tracy, put your hands together.
Thank you.
Yes, very much thank you. Because what this is doing is demonstrating that we understand what it means to be prosperous, not just financially. Financial is just one element of how Spirit shows up. We understand that Spirit is showing up physically, in our body temples, so we show up as health and well-being. It's showing up in our emotions, so we show up as emotionally intelligent individuals. It's showing up in our relationships, so we practice nonviolent communication and compassion with one another. It's showing up in all of the ways that God is showing up in us. And we are living this vision. But we understand that one aspect of making a center run, tithing into where you are spiritually fed, is also, as Tracy says, keeping the lights on. One of the things that came up in visioning, and I'll speak more about that in a second, one of the things that came up in visioning for the last several months was the community is ready for a building of our own.
Yes.
A space of our own where we have classrooms and a labyrinth and windows and such. So we know that we are tithing and donating and supporting financially to bring that vision into fruition. And three of the ways that you can do so, you can tithe through PayPal, text messaging, and the postal service. And if at any time there is an issue or a problem or you have questions or concerns, feel free to go to the website and or email myself, Tracy, or one of the board members, and we will get things sorted out for you. That being said, we thank you for all of the generous ways that you show up to serve this community, all of the generous ways that you support this community and pour into it with love, with your presence showing up online, with your text and emails, and all of the other ways that you demonstrate what it means to be a beloved community. So let us anchor in with our prosperity declaration together. I joyfully, consciously, and gratefully participate in the law of circulation. I trust in the spiritual principle that says, as I sow into my beloved community, I demonstrate my awareness of standing not only in the flow, but as the flow itself. As I sow of myself, my time, my treasure, my talent, I demonstrate my support and engagement in my community's vision, mission, and purpose. I actively give as a demonstration of manifesting the heart and reaping the harvest of a world that works for all. Getting ready to.
Okay. Oh, shoot.
So at this time, hold on, Tracy got to do a little technical.
I forgot to plug it in.
She forgot to plug something in. We should be good now. So, as Tracy likes to remind us, 2020 was make today an awesome day. Now it's be awesome today. Because the moment you are being it, you have no choice but to do that which is awesome, to think that which is awesome, to speak awesomeness. And to speak it and sing it louder and louder to such a degree that your awesomeness envelops the planet and that those aliens on Septebular are like, translation, man, those people on Earth are jamming. We should go visit. Thank you for joining, Tracy's laughing at me. Thank you for joining us. And at this time, I would like to, one, let you know that prayer requests can be sent at any time to info@cslgreaterbaltimore.org, and I and our Prac Corps will hold your prayers in the highest consciousness possible, affirming and declaring the truth of and about you, your loved ones, your community, or whatever it is that you desire prayer about. Because remember that in spiritual mind treatment, we are not begging or beseeching an external deity, but we are anchoring and declaring the truth that we know. Just like Yeshua said, to pray knowing that the prayer is already answered. So if you have a prayer request, send an email. Today after service, I gotta say, Reverend Dr. Ronnie Ellington. I don't know if Ronnie is on.
She probably gonna pass out on
She
that
probably
one.
like, Ray, Reverend Ray, hush your mouth
Because
now.
you know when you say stuff.
Hush your mouth now. Stop all that. Dr. Ronnie Ellington, licensed practitioner, will be leading the community for those who desire to anchor in the spiritual practice called visioning. So if you are here for visioning, simply stay after the call, and once she begins that, you're in it. And for those who may not know, Visioning is the spiritual practice of allowing the divine influx of spirit to speak through you. It is not creating a vision board where you are posting images and saying, I want that, and I want that, and I'm going to create that. It is letting God, letting Spirit, letting the divine song sing itself through you, and then creating that, then manifesting that as a beloved community. So at this time, let us simply anchor into our benediction, recognizing and knowing that the allness and the isness of Spirit is present everywhere we go. Every thought we think is God, because there is only one mind, and that mind is God. And that mind is our mind right here and right now. And everything we think is in the mind of God, and everything we speak is spoken through and by God. Every feeling and emotion is God feeling those feelings and emotions. And every way that we serve and step up is how God is showing up and stepping up. So we, right here and right now, though service today, January 3rd, may come to a close, we know that service as Spirit is infinite and eternal and ever expanding. So we go throughout the rest of the day serving, being powerful, singing songs that are loud and unapologetic and magnificent, and simply being our awesome selves, allowing Spirit to shine through and as us. Knowing this to be so, it is anchored into the law, it is demonstrating accordingly, because the prayer is already done and it is already answered. And together we say, and so it is.
And so it is.
Blessings, everybody. Tracy, Jim, and Frank will open the lines so you can all chat and converse. And other than that, I will see you soon. Much love.
See you soon.